What's the story behind the revolutionary D-pad and Nintendo's patent on it? Wonder no further.
Let's go!
The D-pad, the directional pad. Up, down, left, and east.
Left again. I think there's 2 lefts.
Maybe in the Konami code.
Yes.
But no, this is an input method. It kind of originated with Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
It did.
It did. They had the patent on it. I know that there were other D-pads. I know that if just saying Nintendo invented the D-pad draws controversy because there were others or whatever. They had the patent on it.
They did, and they really introduced the cross-shaped design.
Yes.
What really preceded it, games were played with 4 disconnected arrows, and that's pretty much what you use on like your computer keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how games used to be, and
or with a joystick.
And that's how Joy-Con are now.
Yeah.
So
it is interesting that. That's how it went one way.
Yep.
And of course we have like the N64, which had the D-pad and the 4 directional buttons. They go back and forth. I know that people complained about this, but I kind of like
about the Joy-Con.
Joy-Con having that.
I mean, it's what it's there for is so that it can be played with a single Joy-Con.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really not bad. It's not bad. I think that the cross shape is preferred, though. I mean, Nintendo stuck with it so long. People tried to knock it off in various ways without completely infringing.
Mm-hmm.
And but most people were just forced to use disconnected buttons.
Exactly.
Or like Microsoft, they ended up doing a circular,
the weird amorphous blob disc,
and it pressed 4 inputs, but
it looked like a weird wave.
What did we call it before? The primordial goo.
Yeah, the primordial goo pad.
And it is less flexible than an analog stick, but it's more accurate. You get less inputs, but also less leeway.
Yeah, it's digital. It's more precise. You have 4 directions plus the diagonals where if you put up and right, it will go directly between those in a diagonal shape.
Or up and down.
So it's 8 directions, no variation in between that.
Yep.
Very precise, very exact. I like that.
That makes it good for platforming, for fighting. That's why you see like the Pokken Tournament Special Edition controller D-pad.
Yes. Even though it looks terrible. But yeah, and I will do this if I have the option. Let's say I have a classic controller.
Yeah.
And I have the option of using the analog stick or the D-pad, the digital, and it could stand for either digital or direction. I've seen it both ways. I guess the double D-pad, I guess you could call it. But you can get more precise things on that. And like for Mighty Number 9 or Mega Man 9 or 10, I prefer using, or any Mega Man game, if I have the choice, I will go for the digital input.
Definitely.
Because it doesn't give you that wiggle room of, am I going to step off this platform or not because I'm barely holding it?
Yep.
More precise.
So we mentioned that it originated with Nintendo.
Yes.
Now specifically, that happened, the cross design came from Gunpei Yokoi. Is that how you've heard that pronounced? Gunpei Yokoi. And that was made for the Donkey Kong handheld game. So this was around the era of Game & Watch handhelds, also arcades. But Donkey Kong got it first. And this was, before Donkey Kong and the NES or anything like that. And it was received very well. They patented it, and companies tried to avoid copying Nintendo directly. Sega had kind of a circular thing on the Genesis with some raised areas, and they called that, I couldn't believe it, the D button. Did you know that?
I did not know that. And they had the same thing for the Saturn as well.
Makes a little bit of sense with A, B, C, and D, but come on, that's not a button.
No, it's not. It's a control method. You don't have to call it a button. That's weird.
And did you see the Microsoft 360 one? Well, not even the standard 360 one. They released like an Elite controller, I believe it was called. I'll tell you what it did.
Yeah, tell me about it, because I'm a little foggy.
So, before Nintendo's patent expired, which did happen, Microsoft created Xbox and the Xbox 360.
Mm-hmm.
Then the patent expired, but by that time, Microsoft gamers were used to kind of the disc that they had been using. However, a lot of companies want to start using the Nintendo D-pad after the patent expired, so Microsoft made it so that you could choose, and they had a pretty cool D-pad which you could twist, and the disc sections would raise and lower. So you twist it 90 degrees, the disc comes up, twist it 90 degrees, goes down, and you just have the 4 directions. So pretty cool.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's genius.
2005 was the last year that Nintendo had on the patent, so now it's kind of a free-for-all. And it's interesting that they left it with the Joy-Con.
It is. And now people can use it all the time. You don't have to deal with that amorphous blob anymore.
Right.
Thank goodness.
Yep.
Now, one question that I had is, why did Nintendo put it on the left? Because if you look at Atari controllers, they had the joystick meant to be held in the right hand because the button was on the left.
Yes.
And Gunpei Yokoi, I guess, he was just really, really smart. Genius, by the way, because he's the guy who came up with the idea for the Game Boy.
Yeah.
Also came up with the idea for the Virtual Boy, I think. Revolutionary idea. But so many
good days or bad days.
Yeah. So many revolutions from this guy. We have the Atari controller, and then we have left-hand controls. I mean, even if you look at keyboards, right-hand arrow keys. Mm-hmm. But he figured out the right hand, most people are right-handed. That's going to be your precision pressing. You want to press the right button at the right time, at the right speed. That is going to go in your right hand. Your left hand is more for broad movements. And they figured that out, and because Nintendo was focusing more on precision button presses, like with the Atari, your button you had one button to do one action in the game. Yeah. Drop an item, pick up an item, whatever it is.
So they assigned that to the weaker hand, I guess.
They assigned that to the weaker hand because moving was more important, and now it flip-flopped with Nintendo games. And
that worked out great, because if you think about like the NES, not so much. Both thumbs, they're kind of stationary. You go to like the GameCube where you have 4-face buttons, then your right thumb is moving from location to location, while this thumb is just moving in a direction and staying in the same location.
Exactly.
This one needs to be more agile, reach the buttons faster.
Even on the triggers, we see... I mean, now we have 2 on both sides, but with the GameCube, we had Z on the right side. And in fact, if we play Smash Bros., you make fun of me for it, but I don't use L at all.
Yeah.
I don't use R at all, because I think that the trigger buttons, because they're analog, are a little bit less precise. I use Z to shield because it's an exact moment in time. I know when I press it.
Digital input like a D-pad is.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I try my best to avoid using L in games. And in fact, when I'm driving, I don't know if you do this.
Keep your left hand behind your back?
No. If I have to do something like drink or eat, have to do something while I'm driving. If I'm drinking something or eating something, we all know that most people out there that are driving do this.
Yeah, did you hear about the new Washington laws, though?
Yes. Yeah, I had to be careful of that because I live really close to the state line. Do most of my driving in Idaho, but now I'm going to have to pull over when I want to take a drink in Washington.
Okay, so you have to drink?
If I have to drink, I do it with my right hand. And I steer with my left hand. I'm better at it. If I do it with my right hand, my wife will notice, honey, you're driving jerky.
Wow.
But if I do it with my left hand,
or
it's
jerk,
a lot
you're
more...
driving honey.
Okay. But
Pass the
we've noticed that I'm more accurate in steering with my left hand.
Okay, I'm getting freaked out right now.
It's weird. Maybe it's connected that I'm so used to controlling things with my left hand that's just the way it works.
Well, if today was a day to ask the listeners and viewers to comment, I'd be really interested to hear how they're feeling about the Switch D-pad these days.
Yes.
Because with the trailer of the Switch, there's a big blowback. But after a few months of being able to use it, how are you guys feeling about it? Thanks for watching. Thanks for being part of the crew.
What we do want you to do is share this video with your friends if people don't know where the D-pad come from.
Yeah.
We don't know. I do want to say some of my research came from a Redditor. I was going to credit him, but his account was deleted. So thank you, deleted Redditor, for your research.
Way to give creditor to the Redditor.
Yes.
See you guys next time.
Signing out.